I think we need to look at the scenario. A lot of emotive reactions have happened. I mean, Nsoatreman reacting emotionally, Kotoko same, the FA also coming in. Cool heads must prevail. And then we begin to look at what I've discussed with you, that the season is almost halfway through, almost ending. How do we ensure that the things that we need to put across, we are doing it? That way we'll be able to find solutions to it. I think that we need to really, really go back and develop the proper policies that I believe can help the class. Other than that, we're going to go into these emotional reactions almost every time, and then solutions will not be found.
All right, thank you so much. I have Dr. Ernest Koranteng via Zoom. Also, we need to ask him 1 or 2 questions and also pick his thoughts about what happened on Sunday at Nsoatre till now. Doc, if you can hear me, welcome to ABC News Ghana.
Thank you.
Great. I've been speaking to Benjamin Willie Graham on this particular issue. I would also like to ask you that so far it seems that we've seen the perpetrators of the act. Honorable Ignatius Balfewa was arrested. He's been given bail. Joseph Tremor has also been given the bail. But then Ajimandua, who the police saw some blastings in his chest and also a gun with him, has still been detained. What do you think should be the final decision about this particular issue?
That's a difficult question. I'm not in a position to to determine what the final decision should be. This will require investigations, I assume, and I'm sure the law enforcement is working on it. It's a developing story.
Yeah.
We have read how the police service in this country is deployed people to the venue of the incident in Nsoatre. We've also read stories, followed reports of how the police chief himself is involved in the process of engaging with the family of the deceased, with club officials from Nsoatreman, and I assume the Ghana Football Association. It will be premature for anyone to declare to make any declarations as regard what the final outcome of this investigative process will be and should be. But I'm more interested in what we do with this and where we go from there.
All right.
From my checks, it's the second time we're recording fan fatality at the stadium. The second in 4 years. The last one happened in 2021. And just to reiterate and expand some of the submissions made by Graham, that fan violence, what we call hooliganism, or fans rioting at stadia, pre-game, during game, post-game, is something that's been happening for many years around the world. In Europe is always a standard because that's where supposedly Europe has a standard for what football should be, how football should be played, and how it should be administered. So even in Europe, there are issues with sectarianism, there are issues with deep-seated fan violence, and challenges that often require even the European Union getting involved, because when these fans travel from one country to the other, their conduct ought to be monitored in a certain way so that it does not degenerate into mass chaos and possibly mass disaster.
Okay.
So these things will continue to be with us.
Okay.
But when we bring it to Ghana, we've got to be asking ourselves how well we have managed the game in general, the mentality behind the sort of football we want to do, whether we're doing it. Because this is not an isolated case.
Yeah.
It's just, you see, a fan losing his life at the stadium. It's a culmination of
A lot
several
of
things
factors.
we're failing to do properly with our football, with our sports in general.
Okay.
Okay, so the, we've got to look at this matter wholesomely. It is not, isolating the matter and talk just I won't say just
Yeah.
because we have lost a fan.
All right,
If we're
Doc.
going to deal with this matter and ensure it does not recur, we've got to get to the bottom of it and look at how
Definitely.
we're running football generally. Otherwise, we will be engaged in the rhetorics and the back and forth and call people and have conversations. And 5 years from now, we'll be back here talking the same thing because another fan would have lost his life.
Doc,
Unfortunately.
let me ask you your last question, then we can take leave of you. Now, yesterday in the press conference, press statement released by Asante Kotoko, they did mention, or they called upon Accra folk to support them to also suspend their first team activities. Do you think that all the clubs should follow suit of what Asante Kotoko have done? Doc, please
For
unmute.
the others. Okay. Okay, I'm saying,
All right.
what are they requiring for? What are they requiring for the others to do? First of all, the footballers. You see, this will sound as though it is the clubs against the FA, but it's nothing like that because the football association is made up of the clubs. Is that not the case?
Definitely.
Is that not the case that the football association is a coming together of clubs?
Yes, it is.
So whatever the clubs do is reflected on the FA as a body, is an association of the clubs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, Kotoko and Hartlepool are the worst administered clubs in this country. I say this all the time because he who much is given, much is expected. Hartlepool and Asante Kotoko, with their following, with their resource pool and everything, should be doing far better than they are doing. So that, like others wield massive power in other parts of the world, you can even reference the major European leagues or parts of North America or South America, and how those behemoth clubs, clubs that are behemoths, how they behave, how they coordinate, how they integrate, how they get together to make sure their football associations they are a part of do things properly. So if Kotoko is asking for clubs to join them, we shouldn't even get to this point. That if these clubs make up the FA, probably they are not setting up the FA as well as they should. The failure or the failings of the FA is the failings of the clubs. It's as simple as that.
All right.
These clubs elect people who will lead them at the hierarchy or at the helm of the FA. So if there's any challenge on the part of the FA, it reflects on the clubs, and that's where the issue is. So whether we call off the league, whether we whatever, if we do not revisit the issues of how we constitute things, like legal, things like statutes, regulations, and how we want to run this football thing like a business, we will be here. We will get together and have this conversation because, for your information, when I did journalism, like you're trying to do now, 23 years ago,
Yeah.
we're having these sort of conversations. In fact, it was
Okay, Doc.
at the height,
Because of our
it
time,
was at
let's
the
wrap
height
up.
of lunacy that in 2001 we lost the number of people we lost at the Accra Sports Stadium.
Yeah.
There's been nothing like that again. But these conversations have persisted. They've gone on for more than 20 years and nothing is changing. So if the clubs want to change it, they are the only ones who can do so.
All right. So if the clubs want to change, they are the only ones to do so. So you heard from Dr. Ernest Koranteng and also Benjamin Willie Graham on this particular issue. And let's go for area take, and we spoke to some Ghanaian football fans